Hi, and welcome to the second episode of the External Network series. In the first video, we talked about the benefits of an external network. In this one, we're talking about practical tips on how you can start building that network. Now, there's a whole bunch of guides out there, and there's some really useful books on networking, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on my experience and how I've built my network over the years. As with the first video, I'm also going to try and bring in some advice and perspectives from my colleagues from across the sector. Firstly, I think it's really important to recognise that a small, strong network that you can reach out and get support from is going to be much more valuable to you than a large one that you can't. Quality definitely trumps quantity when it comes to the value of your external network. For this reason, I really recommend starting small. Pick a few key individuals that you can see real value in connecting with and find a way to engage them. Now, an obvious way to do that in this day and age is to use social media tools such as Twitter and LinkedIn. You can follow them or you can connect with them and you can start a conversation through that platform.
If you're looking to start a new network, I think it's a very good idea to think about who are the people you'd really like to network with. And one of the key ways of doing that, I would say, nowadays is to use Twitter and start following some people who are tweeting about the things you're interested in or have job titles that tell you they are in similar domains to you, or that they're being followed by people you follow.
Twitter is a great place to build a network in the educational domain because there's so many educators on there. So I would say if you were using Twitter as a platform and you're following somebody and they're sharing interesting stuff, see who they're following and then see, if you've got extra people that you could add to your network.
Now, obviously, that connection isn't going to develop into anything useful unless you can find a way to engage and interact with that individual. One piece of advice I was once given is if you want to connect with somebody, find a way to help them. Engage with the conversations that they're having, again, on social media or at conferences or mailing lists, and try and contribute something back. Remember that strong network goes in two directions. If you want to gain benefit from it, realistically, you need to put something back into it. That is how people start to know who you are, what you're capable of, and what value you bring to their networks.
If I could give one tip to someone who's just starting to build their own professional network, I would say be kind. Be honest. That's two. Be kind, be honest. Go out there and say, this is what I'm looking for. This is why I would like to achieve it. Can anyone else help me? Because you'll find that if you approach it that way, then ultimately people are going to be more kind of willing to kind of help if they can.
The best thing you can do when building this initial network is to be genuine. Be interested in people and take an interest in what they're doing.
The main tip that I would give anyone looking to build a network is don't go out with that ulterior motive. Be interested in people, be interested in what they're doing, and your network will organically build. There's nothing worse than you feeling that you have to force something to be able to build a network, and then it never comes across as authentic with the people that you're trying to connect with anyway. Whereas if you think not about what you can gain from a connection, but learning about the person instead, the rest of it all naturally falls into place and it makes it much less cringeworthy.
So a big part of this is just approaching people, talking to people, taking an interest and listening, and ultimately not being afraid to go out there and actually engage a network.
My piece of advice will be, don't be hesitant. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say hello to strangers, and go to the right networks, be it LinkedIn, be it Twitter, be it something else, and approach people. And you'll be surprised to see that how encouraging and how positive people are and how much of a difference it can make in your career and in your academic practice. So don't hesitate and go out there and have fun.
Sounds easy, right? But actually, as a person who is naturally shy, I can say with absolute certainty that networking can be really, really hard. One of the things that I've done to help make that a little bit easier is I've often asked friends of friends to make introductions for me. I've known somebody who's known somebody who I've wanted to interact with. So I've asked them to introduce us, and that has really helped me. But there's other ways that you can look at this as well.
I guess firstly I'd say I'm atrocious at face-to-face networking. I despise and hate it. The idea of walking up to people, introducing myself and initiating a conversation makes me want to run and hide. I've used social media, particularly Twitter and talking on conference hashtags, to get around that. So my advice would be to find the way that you are comfortable to do it.
You may find that the internal network that you already have access to through the university is a great way to start building your external network. By talking to people from other disciplines, you may find that opens the door to great teaching and learning contacts outside of the institution.
The most useful thing you can do is meet up, philosophers with chemical engineers, with art historians, which you do when you're all jumbled up in these programs. And sometimes people say, I'd rather just be working with other geographers. But actually, the networks you make across the university will give you, I think, similarly Damascene moments where you open up, and they then give you access to other kinds of networks.
I hope you found this video useful. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about the impact of networks. But until then, be kind, stay safe, and start making those connections.